What is up, everybody? Hope you're doing well, certainly today. And I have a little something that's been on my mind that I want to talk about. Actually, I wanted to discuss it during the Ice on One campaign, but I didn't really, of course, have any time. Buried in a warehouse, you know how that goes. But there are people, I guess, really on different sides of this whole cultural stuff that are going to agree and disagree with this, and that's fine with me. Certainly would love your thoughts. But as movies, certainly, and it's not just movies, certainly books as well. But as they start to get worse returns, right? When you actually start to dissect the box office numbers and you see in comparison to even installments before, they're not selling as many tickets. Maybe they're selling them for a higher price, but they're not selling them for as many, or they're not selling as many tickets. I think with everybody, with the MCU, there's something that it's not mystique, but that whole special moment, definitely in the initial, let's say 10 or so years, 8 years, it's gone. It's not as prominent, certainly, as it once was. And you will hear people say that it's due to superhero fatigue. I disagree with that so much. I don't think that has anything to do with anything. In fact, using such terminology lets these weirdos get off the hook. What's happening right now is that bad material has been put out in combination with the fact that the people that make that material have turned off a lot of potential and would-be customers, long-time customers in a lot of cases. So what I mean by that is that you're not able to sustain that new audience that you sought after, and the ones that were more inclined to actually support your work, buy this comic, go watch this movie, have started to check out. And that's, as I speak about a lot, the danger of being committed to such a demographic is that, look, you've heard me say this before. At some point, this comic book thing is not going to be the end thing. That doesn't mean it's going to stop being lucrative. When I say it's going to stop being the end thing, it's not going to be the thing like actors gravitate towards, weirdos who have never wrote anything regarding or never been interested in any of this genre or subculture. People that have proven that they actually aren't into it won't gravitate towards it as a career move. But they'll burn it to the ground, make no mistake. And then what the people that will, be left with the ashes are the folks that have been in support of this stuff years past. So if you go after that new audience, it's sustainable for a shorter period of time. But long term, it certainly is not. They will move on to something else, as so many normies often do. And then that will no longer be the end thing. I believe that now more than ever, in fact, you should see a big interest in comic book based material. It's no excuse. You have more money being thrown at it than you ever have in terms of people willing to invest in it. You have more eyes on it. And it was really a method that was easy, right? It was not a rocket science. They made it far more difficult. You can make the argument that a lot of this had to do with the ideological positions of the people that were now in control of these properties, but it was theirs to screw up. You easily could have had something in which you were bringing in new audiences while also giving something for the folks that have been around this subculture before. But that's not what they did. That's not what they are doing. So as folks see this decline, let's call it that, some people blame it on, well, it's superhero fatigue. People are growing tired of it. No, they're growing tired of normies are becoming less interested. But what's happening is the material's just not any good. If the material was any good or had something for people to be enthusiastic about it, then it would still be growing. Right now, with this whole subcultural comics, man, I guess the closest thing that we have to it in terms of a comparison where it's thriving is the Japanese with their mangas. Say what you will, whether you like that stuff or not, it has continued to grow. It's continued to grow in the West, right? These guys are pushing millions, by the millions of some of these comic books or mangas, and the anime is, of course, because of that. And that shared relationship, as I've made this argument before, is so stupid that there's virtually no relationship. There's very few animated material by way of Marvel and DC that is getting people into the books. The movies certainly aren't getting people into the books, and that's because generally there's no relationship there. Everybody wants to be, they think creativity is being able to just do whatever they want with whatever character, and that's why you have a lot of goofy versions of characters that nobody's interested in. Whereas with the animes and mangas, the manga will sell the anime will sell the manga. That relationship no longer exists. But let's put the blame where it should be, and that's to where the creatives, and I use that term very loosely, suck. Period. The material isn't any good. Even people that have shield for this Marvel Cinematic Universe, defended its bad practices, are now even starting to be like, yeah, man, this is more mundane. When they know it's bad, they just don't want to. They don't want their like ideological enemies to ever be right about stuff. And that's all this is, dude. It's not any good. Superhero fatigue lets these weirdos off the hook. Makes it seem like, well, it's just been so much stuff put out and people have just, aging. They're growing tired of it. No, it just sucks. Now, I make the argument that it's been bad for a little bit. Sometimes it lags. Sometimes it takes people time to catch up to how bad it truly is. But you've turned off your current customers, your long-time customers. You're not doing anything to bring in new ones. See, this is one thing that my detractors are some of the dumbest people alive, in which they made it seem as if there was something wrong, that a lot of customers of the Rippaverse, or ISOM number one, were people that were gladly saying they were first-time customers or first-time readers, right? This is something that maybe they never got into. Not to say that they hated comics. That was never the case. Oftentimes, it was that there was nothing that they felt maybe overwhelmed to get into it. All these millions of different timelines and stuff. They may have liked cartoons. They may have liked some of the movies, but they never got in, and this gave them opportunity to get on the ground floor, so they purchased it. Everybody has a different reason as to why they're the first time, this was the first comic book, a lot of them said. But that's what is needed in this industry to thrive. You need new customers, period. That's the difference between what's happened with this project and some others versus what's been happening in the past, is that there's nobody, even the movies aren't doing this. The fact that a movie can come out, make billions of dollars, there's no real net increase in terms of customers with comic books because it's not selling it. What is necessary if this is going to continue or not continue, let's just say be a thriving marketplace. You need folks that are in there that are able to, and it benefits folks that are actually being creative and being good at their jobs, because as they'll get in, they'll say, oh, this is interesting. I want to read more comic books. And next thing you know, they're going to read someone else that may not be under my company. It may not be something that's under my company brand. And that's what's missing. But the dipsticks that practically own the industry are not interested in that. Not anymore. Social media has tricked so many people, forgetting what they care, or what they, let me say, makes sense from a business perspective. Is often what creatives don't understand, don't care to understand, which is why they're so quick to really detonate an industry and then act like they had what's in that industry's best interest. And that couldn't be anything further from the truth. Please, I beg of you, stop blaming superhero fatigue as to why this material is suffering. Let's call it what it is. It's bad material being bad.